Hello everybody, I've got somebody I'd like you to meet. So this is Joanne, and Joanne is a pig. Ladies, gentlemen, lions, tigers, giraffes, bears, welcome to the Danger Pit. So, we cooked a pig. We cooked a whole pig, the entire pig. Kind of Carolina style, but not really. But what matters is, look at it. Look at how squishy it looks. Oh, I am very, very excited. So while I pick this apart and eat it, with a big bunch of hungry people behind you, let's dive in to how we went from Joanne, the wee suckling pig, to Joanne, I guess she's still a wee suckling pig. Jesus Christ! So, Joanne is a 12 kilogram suckling piglet. At 12 kilograms, Joanne was about 3 months old when she was slaughtered. Means that rather than being a full-grown pig, fully developed glands and quite a gamey taste, she'll have a really mild taste, very delicate, very fatty, nice and juicy and soft. And it means she'll cook really fast as well. We've got a little bit I need to get done with her, so let's get her laid out on the table. Sorry if I'm panting. 12 kilos when it's pork and it's jiggly. It's really heavy. My camera lady doesn't look impressed. Right. So, I've been butchering a long time. I've handled a lot of meat in my days. And this is still... Right, let's do this. So, all I'm going to do today, so we've got the picnics at the top, I've got the hams at the bottom. These are the two big pieces of meat that we're going to be cooking today, really. The rest of it's just going to passively cook. The things I'm interested in, so like I say, picnics, the hams, the jowls, the loins, the meat under the ribs, and the belly are the areas where I'm going to be focusing my injection. Now, you can see we've got some glands, so I'm going to need to cut up the jaw, remove the glands. I'm just going to go get my bin from the kitchen, 1 second. And just turn Joanne around. So, I'm going to go up the jaw here, open the jowls out, and to make this a little bit easier to start, I'm going to butterfly her out. Now, because she's young, I should just be able to, using Mr. Choppy, knock through these ribs. And breathe! Any silver skin I've got here is areas where smoke won't penetrate. So I need to take all of this silver skin off and, like I say, get all of these glands and bits of tissue. It's a bit of a rule of thumb with barbecue. If it doesn't look good and you don't want to eat it, don't fucking cook it. Let me just remove the trachea as far as I can go. Deep breath. I don't know what these glands are, I don't know what they're for, but they're coming out. Right, that's everything in the jowl. Right, any of these pockets of pooled blood, they'll cook out, so they're not a problem, but I still don't really want them there, so let's try and get them off where I've got meat that I'm going to be serving as much as I can. I'm not going to get them all, because I ain't got all day, but I'll do my best to get them up where I can. I don't want to take too much of this jowl meat off, because jowl's bloody delicious. Right, so we've got silver skin on the ribs. This membrane's going to come off. Kidneys, off they come. Now on an older pig, this area that I'm cutting away here, this on the belly is known as the leaf fat because it's really fluffy, really light. That's your suet. You'd use that to make your dumplings, or if you just want nice fat for burgers or anything. Oh, I'm sweating, man. But because this is such a young piglet, I'm going to take it all off. This here would be the skirt steak on beef, but it's so small it'll just burn. It's a bit of a shame, but I'm just going to take it off and stick it in the bin because it'll stop smoke penetrating. Whereas now I've got a nice even surface where I'm not going to have little areas where I've got undercooked bits of pork with the rub that hasn't had a chance to form a bark. This loin, which runs up the back here, this is going to be a delicious muscle underneath my ribs here. So this is where I'm going to put a lot of my injection when I get to it. If I could make a day for you, I'd give you a morning golden and true. So I'm just tidying up the edges here where I've got a little bit of an overlap of skin and fat. I don't need it. It's just going to add time on the cook, and I'm not going to get anything from it. So, Miss Shark! Oh, Harsh had had enough. McFlag! No! Texas has had enough. My camera lady's had enough. Little bits like here, I want to reveal this muscle a bit. So I'll take the skin back ever so slightly so that I can build a bit more bark. And do the same on my hands. Just take a little bit of this skin back, not so much that it loses its support, which will keep it together naturally, but enough so that I can get some extra smoky surfaces. So that's my neck done, my picnic's done, my ribs exposed, silver skin's off, my loin exposed and it runs underneath here. My belly, with its still a bit of silver skin there. Let me just get that. Right. I think this is about where I want it, you know.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything we need to do on the back of it?
Nah, so let me flip it over just so you can see. So the back here is going to act as a boat to keep all the juices, the base, the mop, everything all inside so that it all pools on the meat rather than spilling out all over the place. It'll keep it nice and moist. So I've been very careful not to add any puncture holes or anything in. Obviously it's leather, so it's quite hard to poke through anyway. Come on, Joanne. And your paycheck. Let me just take a Diet Coke break.
Diet Coke, get in touch.
Yeah, Diet Coke. If
yeah, you too can be associated with.
If you want this dead pig as part of your brand. The fat man drinking caffeine-free Diet Coke like some sort of butcher Gabe Mule. If anybody's got any questions, just contact me, gaben@valvesoftware.com. So this is where things are going to get a little bit experimental. Boo, boo. So, if we were in the Carolinas, we'd have a great big open pit where we'd be cooking our whole hog over a bed of coals, which we'd have at the picnic and at the ham, which is, you know, the front and the back of the pig. And as the drippings from the pig hit those coals, it would spit and hiss, and it would create a different kind of smoke. Not just the wood smoke, but the burning fat smoke, which would add another vector of flavour. Now, I don't have that luxury because I don't have a huge pit in my garden. I've got my offset smoker. But I still want to try and capture that essence of like real meaty coal barbecue on my wood fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a big pile of this tin foil, I'm going to lay it across the bottom of my smoker before I put my grill grates on. The idea being that as the pork cooks, all of the fat, all the juices, all the drippings are going to drop down onto this tin foil. I'm going to poke a little hole in my grease catcher, and then it's all going to spill out the bottom. I'm going to capture it and I'm going to shoot the juices, all of the juices and the drippings back onto the wood coals, onto the fire ember in my firebox, and it's going to create that smoke, and the convection's going to pull it through the smoker. So I'm going to have the wood smoke, I'm going to have the charcoaly taste, but I'm also going to have that burnt fat smell that you just can't recreate, and it would be sorely missing if it had it. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's see. The reason why I'm using tinfoil, by the way, is because I've worked in restaurants my entire life, and I'm still just a little bit funny about hygiene and about trying to keep my really dirty food as clean as possible. And I don't want just all the gack from the inside of the smoker that's been there from previous cooks and all the laminates from where I've burnt oil and laminated against it to protect it from the weathers. I just want just the drippings. So this foil is going to catch those drippings, and in theory, no contaminants, just the drippings from the pig going back onto the coals, making delicious perfume smoke. It might not work. Even if it doesn't work, it's going to make cleaning it afterwards a whole lot easier. So let's see how we go with this one. Yeah. So I've got my chimney of charcoals. I'll use this just to get the smoker nice and hot. all I've got is just Deliveroo napkins, oil, underneath my chimney, heat rises, and there we go. 40 minutes, that'll be ready to go. Ah.
I was gonna say, all of a sudden, now there's a fire going.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
All of a sudden, I don't feel quite as nauseous.
It's been an experience, like. Now, if you've ever had the opportunity to try real barbecue pulled pork, the real deal, really cooked with wood, you know it's all about the texture. That soft, velvety, juicy... Oh, it's heaven. There's just nothing quite like it at all. But the sad fact of the matter is that pork doesn't really have that much taste on its own. And so I've got 5 opportunities today to really add some flavour into the pork. And we're talking the rub, the injection, the mop, the sauce I'm going to make for it, and the fire. The 5 things that are really going to take this piglet and just kick it up into Flavour Town. Oh, mwah, mwah. It's going to be beautiful. Let me show you the rub real quick. So into the booty shaker, we are going to add a whole bunch of salt. Now, we don't have a huge surface area on this pig, so I'm going to try and get as much rub on as possible. And the pork needs a lot of salt. It's going to need that flavour, because I'm not going to really be adding that much salt anywhere else in the stage. So I'm going to add this much salt. Let me turn the booty shaker around so you can see it a bit clearer. There. I'm going to add the same volume again and crack black pepper. And you better believe I just sat like an idiot for an hour and cracked this all by hand, because we can't compromise. It's got to be perfect. I'm going to add a bunch of paprika. Now this is for colour more than heat. Come on. Ah, how are you know when your spices stick. So that's for colour. And I'm going to add the same amount of cayenne. Now this is for colour, but it's also for sweetness. I'm also going to add a bunch of chili flakes. Now, this may seem like I'm putting a lot of spicy stuff in, and it's true, this is going to be hot, but the heat doesn't come from the chili flakes. The heat comes from the black pepper that we're going to be using. The chili flakes are just there for decoration and texture. And I'm going to add a bunch of garlic granules as well, just to give it that earthy boost that it needs. And there you go. This is the booty shaker filled with my patented pork rub. It's not actually patented. I don't even know what that means. But yeah, that's my pork rub. Let's give it a little shake and see how it looks. Make sure it's all incorporated. Give it a nice little zhuzh around. There you go. That's what I call a pork rub. Yes. Don't tell anyone, but I forgot to put the garlic powder in. So here, there's garlic powder in this too. Idiot. Now, I see a lot of people using garlic powder in their rubs, and you can see here why I don't, because it clumps like this. Now, I think in America they use improvers, desiccants and the sort to make sure that this doesn't happen, but we don't do that over here. Now, it doesn't really matter because we're not really going to get a bark on this pork, so I'm not really fussed about it caking, but this is why I don't do garlic on my briskets. Injection. So my rub is really salty, and so is my mop that I'm going to be using. So the injection, I just want to be just sweet. So I'm going to use just some apple juice, some maple syrup, and some honey. The idea is these 3 ingredients will come together and make like a sweet, claggy, sugary, sticky injection that will melt. It'll caramelize inside the meat, but also I'm not just going crazy, adding loads and loads of salt. Yeah. Oh, the sun's going so hot. This is going to be a hot day. Oh boy. Right, okay, so like everything I do in my life, I'm just pantsing this and just eyeballing it. So I'm going to do about, what, like a litre of apple juice. For you. Got the actual Canadian maple syrup as well. So don't use that fake maple syrup. It's made with carob, and carob, when you heat it in the smoker, it just kind of turns into like chemical nightmare fuel. It's hard to explain, so just use the real stuff. Don't be cheap. Yep. I've used about some maple syrup. I didn't bring anything to stir it with. I'll stir it with my knife like a psychopath. Honey wise, I'm going to use about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every tablespoon of honey you use is 40 bees life work. And that was about the life work of maybe 1,000 bees just went into this injection. That's how you know it's good. Let me just get my knife, stirring knife, and that's it. Is this? I think this is incorporating. Probably using a knife's not the best tool. Let me go and actually get a fork. So yeah, my thinking being apple juice, you've got to have apple juice with pork. The apple juice adds that sort of like sour, sweet sugariness. The honey is going to add that sort of like umami sweet. I don't think that's a real thing, but if you eat a lot of honey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the maple syrup again, it's going to add that woody, natural sweetness to it. And then that combined with the spicy, salty mop and the sort of peppery injection, hopefully it's going to taste banging. I look forward to finding out in 7 hours if it does, in fact, taste banging. Right, let's go get Joanne. Fancy new meat injector. It looks nightmarish, and that's because it is. My old one was great, but having to manually draw and manually push meant I had very little control of the angle and everything, whereas this one, which is a bit bigger, pull in, and then medic! So I'll just start with my jowls. Yeah, make sure I'm getting plenty in the belly. So you can see the difference between the two sides, or I certainly feel the difference between the two sides as I get to my loins. Oops, sorry.
Definitely in the firing line here.
Now you can see really clearly the difference between this injected piece and this uninjected piece. This one you can see how swollen and turgid it is with sweetness. So, time for the boot shaker. So I'm not going to use a binder, we don't need one, it's already pretty wet as it is. Binders are just to stick the rub. Now this rub is basically going to get washed off as well, so I'm not going to lose my mind making sure it's nice and even and pretty and stuff. I'm just gonna get a bunch of flavors on it. So let's go. Because it's pig, it doesn't really have a lot of flavor on its own, so I'm going heavy on this rub and making sure I get it everywhere. And then just press it in, make sure I've got it in. This will help me see any areas like this where I've missed. There we go. Now that Joanne's looking like a big Pringle, she's ready to go. This is just the fucking noisiest day on planet Earth or something.
Yeah, that's bad timing, like.
Come on, Joanne. Oh well, I have no idea if you can still hear me okay. There's a wood chipper in the background. In urban Salford. Let's go knock on the neighbours and be like, excuse me, can you stop making noise? My YouTube channel's got 280 subscribers, I need to make the pig. My heat protection nut. We'll go there.
Oh, that takes the brunt of the fire.
Oh, fuckles.
Huh?
I forgot to take off the knuckles.
I wanted to say you're really butchering that, but that's kind of the point, right?
Oh, yeah, there are much nicer ways of doing it than my stab and guess method. There she goes. Shut up! Let's make a mop sauce. So, the mop sauce that I'm making today, I'm just kind of amalgamizing from people smarter than me who have more experience, trying to create like that Southern Carolina vinegar pepper sauce, but people don't share their recipes, so I just kind of watched a lot of videos of people do it and going, that looks like paprika, that's definitely brown sugar. So loosely half guessed, half borrowed recipe of about a litre of apple juice, about 500 mils of apple cider vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar, bit more. So I've got the sweet, I've got the sour. I'm going to add a bunch of chili flakes. These chili flakes, despite being chili flakes, they don't really add the heat. They're there for texture when it cooks, and they're there just to kind of give this thing a little bit of like an aesthetic appeal, because they look good. About that many. I should probably be, you know, measuring these amounts, but I just like to wait for my ancestors to whisper over my shoulder and just kind of pants this and everything I do. Cayenne pepper for colour, paprika for spice. Now the majority of the spice in this won't come from the cayenne, the paprika, the chili flakes, despite how it looks. It'll come from the black pepper. A lot of the heat in this Carolina style barbecue comes from just that spicy black pepper. It's not capsicum spicy, it's salt spicy. Blah. Sugar, just to temper down the sourness of the apples, and this will help it form just a little bit of caramel inside the cook chamber while it's going. Again, just pantsing the volumes. A bit more, whatever. A bit more feels like the right amount to add. Give it a little whangle around. Just want to come and have a quick gander. So this is what my mop sauce is going to look like, and this is also what my barbecue sauce is going to look like. No.
No, not salt?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
So this will be for if people just want a little bit of extra zhuzh when they're eating. So I only want a little bit of this. And I don't need to cook this out, because if I give it like, you know, 6 hours before we actually serve dinner, it'll have a time to just incorporate itself and already smells good, you know. For later. And now we add the salt. Not loads, there's already quite a bit of salt in the rub. I don't want to go to Flavour Town on the salt. I don't want to go OTT with that. Last but not least, roughly sliced lemon. Just for that tartness, and because when it's in, it just looks cute. And one of the most important parts of authentic Southern barbecue is it looks cute. Man, this is 1 hour in and it's looking pretty tight now. Right, so I've got this nice hot mop, and I'm just gonna wet it. Wet it on all the darkest bits, wet it on all the non-dark bits, wet it everywhere, wetty, wetty, wet, wet, wet. I'm probably gonna edit out me saying wetty, wetty, wet, wet, wet. Take some of this fat and run it up to the shoulders. And so this is what I'm saying, where I'm like, there's no real bark gonna develop, but all of that super thick rub that we put on will just meld with this, and as we run it up the shoulders, the neck, over the jowls, that's gonna be good eating. There we go. Look at them yo-yos. That's the way we do it. Get your money for nothing, ninja kicks for free.
Do you want a copyright strike? Is this what you want?
Absolutely. Dire Straits sponsorship, Coca-Cola sponsorship, seal of approval for the royal family. Underneath here, I've got the collective leavings from the mop sauce, from the fat, all those other bits of the pig and stuff that are dripping off the pig that would normally have landed on the coals if we were doing Carolina style barbecue. And just taking, from time to time, some of this, spill a bit on the floor, and just adding a little bit to the top of my fires. And then onto the coals at the bottom there. This will generate a little bit of steam, and that smoke, in theory, yep, it's got like a kind of hot doggy hamburgery must to it. It's different, it's unique, it's different to just smoke. It's a bit vinegary, a bit spicy. Oh, lovely. So this is what, 2 hours, something like that? Yeah. Just a little poke. So the meat's still soft, but I can see where it's starting to firm up, starting to push out the juices. Look at that, look at that. Blah, 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 blah. That's where we injected under the ribs. All of that is basting the meat underneath those ribs there. Good shit.
No, I'm going to say that's always a nasty way, but in a dominant, yeah, brown. Yeah, that's a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah, it's not really annoying. Just follow Blue around looking at the ball. Oh, no. Good. He does it all the time. Oh, he's big fucking high.
Right.
Oh, that big, mate.
So, we're like, so I said this was going to take 6 hours. It's taken 8.5 hours. It's going to be another hour before it's ready. My guests are hungry. But this big bad boy here has been cooking now, and look at how tender she be. So, one thing I've not really considered is how I'm going to get it out. Oh, fucking hell, the skin's stuck to the... Absolute dickhead. I need another pair of gloves. Yes.
There's like extra heat protection.
Because this is hot as fuckety fuck. Right. Come on, Joanne. Let's get you a cup of tea. Oh, fucking hell, she's leaking. Right, so I want to try and do this without losing all this juice that I've worked dead hard to keep in here. Which is unfortunate because that's literally what's happening. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. There we go. Oh, obviously that's dead hot. How's the face looking?
Is it going to be alright?
It's dead.
I know CPR.
It's not got a pulse. The dog is salivating.
Oh, buddy.
It's a good sign that it's lit. Oh, bloody hell, I'm looking forward to getting the fuck out of this. Yes. This pig's currently sitting at about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and we need it about 140 degrees Fahrenheit before we eat it. So I'm going to give it an hour to just sit and get juicy and get pretty, and use this time to placate all of these people that are very patiently waiting for dinner to come. You're in there, Joanne. It's always intimidating when there's a bunch of people going. When you're picking a pig, you've got the hams at the back, you've got the picnics at the front, we've got the ribs, we've got the loin which runs under the ribs, we've got the lovely belly, and we've got the mysterious jowl meat deep inside Joanne's face. So traditionally what we do is we rip this all off, take it all off the bones, mix it all together so it's all mixed in with this lovely pond water here. So we've got the ribs. This meat here, this is where the American bacon comes from. This is, so we call it pitmaster privilege, when everybody's sat waiting and you want to have a little nibble. So let me just turn a bit of this, get a little bit of the bark. Let's see if this tastes any good. I mean, obviously it's incredible. It's really good. It's really spicy. It's really sweet. It's really soft. Right. Let's very carefully pull this off the bones. So this is like belly burnt ends. And you've got, this is the loin running down beneath this. This is the money on the pig. And look at, it's like soft spaghetti. Oh man, that's really nice. Let's have a little dip. good stuff. You're right there, Jay, looking a bit queasy.
No, I'm trying not to laugh.
Ah, yes. Now the delicacy, the spine. All this meat that runs down the backbone here, which has been protected from the fire. Super soft, super juicy. My days, I'm so hungry. Take a bit of meat from the hands, get it mixed in. Take a bit of meat from the picnic, get it mixed in. Scrape the meat from the belly. You don't get a lot of this, but my days. Let's get a little bit of meat from inside the jowls. There's not a lot of meat in the jowl, but it is the best on the pig. Take all these little bits here, pull them to pieces. Taking the time to sort of any little bits of bone or any bits of skin, making sure it all gets shredded out. And then this is what we're left with. This is why I've spent the past 2 days cooking a pig. This mixture of all of the different bits of the pig with all of the chili sauce and everything that's been mixed into it. That's so tender. Right. I'm going to finish picking this. I've got some very hungry people who've been very quiet and patiently waiting in the background. No music and no snickering. I'm gonna let them eat. So, thank you very much for tuning into my fucking channel. Thank you very much for checking out this video. I know it's been a bit of a long one. It's been so much fun though. I've been threatening to do this for 4 years now, and this is a huge personal achievement. I'm actually really chuffed. So, if you've got any questions, come and join me on the Discord, because no fuckers joined yet, and it's been there for a year. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Alright guys, you want to come and eat some food?